The Department of Justice unveiled a huge trove of these Epstein files. Reporters are still going through what's inside. So far, we've seen some notable images of Michael Jackson and Bill Clinton. So here is Epstein with Michael Jackson. Take a look at that. That's
Oh
both
God,
of
that's
them.
that's such a haunting picture in two different
Yeah,
ways.
yeah, it's creepy. And
Yeah.
then there's also this one of Bill Clinton in a hot tub next to someone whose face has been redacted. And then there is Bill Clinton again. Here's Michael Jackson, Bill Clinton, and Diana Ross. I was just listening to Diana Ross yesterday in my car. And we've also obtained this little bit of information. Masseuses reads the top of the document released in the Epstein drop, followed by 254 spots that are all blacked out. The document notes redacted to protect potential victim information. And then we also have Ro Khanna calling out the initial rollout disappointing. And he wants the DOJ to explain the exact timeline for when the rest of the files will be released and the full explanations for what has been redacted and why. And also Chuck Schumer has put out a statement and he said, simply releasing a mountain of blacked out images violates the spirit of transparency and the letter of the law. For example, all 119 pages of one document were completely blacked out. We need answers as to why. Cenk, what are your initial thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, they already told us it's counterintelligence and national security, and they're blocking everything out, which leads me to believe that they're definitely guilty. So now there's two different sets of folks who are guilty of different things. One is, as both Tom Massey and Ro Khanna are pointing out, no, the law was very clear. You have to give us all the documents now, and you can't over redact either. You're supposed to redact to protect the victims, not redact to protect national intelligence agencies or maybe non-national intelligence agencies. And so there it seemed to be in violation of the law. In fact, Ro Khanna last night on the show, right here on the Young Turks, said that the consequences are as significant as the sergeant at arms arresting the attorney general for not following the law. That would be amazing. Now, it's very unlikely to come to that, but the point there is both on the Republican and Democratic side, these bills passed nearly unanimously. They were signed into law. They're crystal clear, and there are at least a couple of honest Congress people, the ones who started all of this, who are saying we're not going to mess around with you guys. We're going to enforce the law. No one's above it. And Jeffrey Epstein and his associates and his allies have been above the law for a long, long time, and the time has come to put an end to that.
Yeah, I feel like what is the point of all of this? So they're violating the law, but they're at the top of the law. So like, who is going to hold them accountable? What is going to happen? These pictures that have come out is nothing new, really. They're hard to look at. I don't like looking at them. The pictures of Michael Jackson. We already knew that he had some associations with Epstein. We obviously knew that Bill Clinton something was there. Even though Susie Wiles actually said in her piece with Vanity Fair that he was less complicit than Donald Trump would like all of us to believe he was with Jeffrey Epstein. I don't really believe that though. She also said that Trump was less complicit than people believe. But yeah, this is such a nothing burger. They redacted, what was it, 119 pages that were blacked out completely. What is the point of that? And again, this is something that Trump was talking about since he was on the campaign trail, right? And then he got into office since January. What have they been doing for this last year? If they were gonna release the files or was gonna release the files or working on the files, then he signs a thing and he says 31 days, we're gonna release the files. And here we have this, and it's just nothing. And then they decided themselves that we're just going to like slow drip this out. We're just gonna release it periodically in batches and like they're trying to contain the story and it's not going to go away. And this is just really disappointing. And I mean, like, I would love to see some consequences for all of this, but it does feel like a stretch, Cenk.
Yeah, we're doing I don't know if there's anything fun about this story, but a fun little poll about what you're most surprised by. It's not about national intelligence or anything serious. Who are you most surprised to see having met with Epstein? A, David Brooks, B, Deepak Chopra, C. Bill Gates, D. Noam Chomsky.
I was gonna
So
say Chomsky
I
before you
think
said it.
Chomsky wins on that
Yeah.
one. What in
Yeah.
the world was Noam Chomsky doing with Jeffrey Epstein? So, by the way, I don't mean that in any negative way. Tons of people he met had nothing to do with the illegal activities. Why? As we've been telling you over the last couple of months, and especially because of the brilliant reporting from Dropsite News, it is absolutely clear that Jeffrey Epstein was one of the most powerful men on earth. He could organize a meeting with almost any world leader at the drop of a hat. He could get you inside the White House anytime he wanted. And apparently, he was the nexus in the Iran-Contra deal. So for decade after decade, Jeffrey Epstein and his friends have been running things behind the scenes. And at this very late date, the American government is still trying with all of its will to try to block you from finding out what he did, what his friends did, and who he's connected to. And obviously, one of the possibilities is that he's connected to us, the CIA, and that's why they've let him slide all these years, and that's why they never release or prosecute any of the other criminals.
Yeah, those polling results are exactly what I'm feeling. Because before you even mentioned his name when you were reading off the poll results, I was thinking it's Noam Chomsky.
Don't forget, Noble Mobile saving you a ton of money. So a lot of people are signing up now and beginning to realize, what the hell, why am I paying so much to Verizon and AT&T? So your bill's only $50 a month, but it can actually be less because they give you money back if you don't use your data. So if you're paying more than $50, there's no reason to not switch. It's crazy not to switch because same phone, same number, same contacts, literally nothing changes. TYT.com/switch, TYT.com/switch. All right, we'll be right back.
But you're absolutely right. A lot of people are going to be mentioned in these files, and we're going to get more and more names out. It doesn't necessarily mean that all of these people were complicit. A lot of them were, though, and like all of that is, hopefully the hope was that we would have known by now kind of more information around all these things. But the fact is that we don't. So we're still kind of in the exact same position that we were yesterday. Not a whole lot has changed, at least not for me. But I guess we'll see how this plays out.
It's the last thing. Every once in a while, as somebody threatens to use a sergeant at arms, that's the law enforcement officer for the House of Representatives, to arrest someone in the executive branch or the judicial branch. It's always fun speculation. It's never happened. It's very likely never going to happen. But man, would that be a moment if the sergeant at arms arrests the attorney general or the deputy attorney general for not following the law? Well, then we'd know that we had at least some people in our Congress and our government that represents us, but that is a very small chance. So my guess is they will continue to redact the living crap out of this. They'll continue to hide this information until we elect one honest president. Wouldn't that be amazing if we had one honest president in our lifetime? And if you say, "Oh, Jake, that's not fair. We're on the left, or a lot of us are on the left, and we had Barack Obama." Obama didn't release any Epstein files either, and it also happened under his watch. So it's so obvious, this intelligence. It's the most obvious thing in the world.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.